Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd. Alhamdulillah, we are just a couple of days away from Ramadan. Allahumma balighna Ramadan. We ask Allah for the tawfiq to reach the month in afiyah. And we ask Allah to grant us the ability. Ameen. Right. So, inshallah, we are going to focus on one particular point today, and that is of cleaning the heart from grudges. Yeah, this one particular thing. Why this one particular thing do we need to talk about out of all the other, subhanallah, diseases we have in the heart? Why this particular disease? Well, the reason is actually quite simple. There's a hadith, not of the Prophet ﷺ. The first one I have to share with you is the hadith of the companion Ibn Mas'ud. May Allah be pleased with it. May Allah be pleased with it. So he was asked, how did the companions welcome Ramadan? And what did he say? We have all these different things that we do before Ramadan. He said, there was not a single one of us who dared to welcome the new moon, meaning of Ramadan, with the slightest grudge in his heart for his Muslim brother. They were making sure, the companions, that their hearts were clean of grudges before they started the month of Ramadan. Not a single one of us who dared to welcome the new moon. Yeah, so a pretty big statement, yeah, showing us the importance that we need to talk about this, and we need to understand this topic and open our hearts to the truth about our own state. So we need to purify our hearts, and we need to forgive those who have harmed us in the hope of forgiveness from Allah for ourselves. Yeah, but why now? You'll say, why now? Why before Ramadan? So yeah, reason number one is, well, the companions did it. If they did it, we should do it, right? But also, if you think about the wisdom behind this action of cleaning the heart before Ramadan, is because Ramadan is the month in which we hope to receive the forgiveness of Allah, isn't it? That's one of the wisdoms behind fasting the month of Ramadan. It's an opportunity for us. Yeah, 24 hours during the day by fasting, during the night by praying qiyam, right? 24 hours you've been given this opportunity of being freed from hellfire, being forgiven. So before we enter the month of Ramadan, we need to examine our hearts, and we need to possibly make a list of people who we have a problem with, and we need to work on getting rid of grudges from the heart. And you're going to say, oh, like 2 days left, maybe tomorrow evening. And yeah, anyway, Alhamdulillah for now, right? Alhamdulillah, we're getting this knowledge now, and we can do something with it, inshallah, bi'idhnillah, right? Okay, before we move on, I have to read to you from my second slide, which is a disclaimer. Okay, I need to do a disclaimer. I don't like doing it, but I think I have to do it, so people don't misunderstand. So I'm going to read from it. The concepts mentioned in this session are general principles derived from the Quran and the Sunnah, and these are not instructions for specific cases. Every case is unique and must be dealt with knowledge and wisdom. And what else? Consultation with people of sincerity and wisdom, and seeking a religious verdict. All these points are very important. We should anyway be implementing these concepts in our lives. But the last point, seeking religious verdict, is also very, very important, because what we do is we go to some of these very wonderful websites we have out there, and they're wonderful. But you cannot make an analogy. Okay, because the sheikh said this to this woman and her situation is similar to my situation, so I can apply this fatwa in my life. We cannot do that. You have to go to a trustworthy sheikh and give him all the details that he needs to know about your situation. Yeah, because we're talking about relationships. And you need to ask him, in this situation, what is my obligation? You know, so you cannot just on your own start decide, okay, this person I'm going to meet this much or stop meeting. You cannot do that. Okay, so please understand that it's very important to have this link with the scholar. Okay, right. So we are speaking about general type of relationships, right? And we are not talking about, oh, I've been harmed by this person and it's like criminal behavior. Yeah, we're not talking about that. Yeah, and we are not saying that, okay, you need to remove grudges means you become this really passive person and two sisters are fighting and you do nothing. Yeah, and the sister who's hitting the other sister, may Allah protect us all, you say, tell the sister who's being beaten up, turn the other cheek. Should not have any malice in the heart. No, Islam is not that. Islam is not that at all, right? What do? You try to break it up. At that moment, you try and break up the fight. If it's brothers fighting, please don't do it. Don't go in the middle. Yeah. So common sense, inshallah, we need to apply this. And so what do we need to do? So again, after having said all of that, we'll come back to our topic, which is about trying to purify our hearts and forgiving those who have harmed us in the hope of forgiveness from Allah for ourselves. Are you all okay up till now? Are you with me? Yeah. So general principles. And so we ask Allah to guide us. Because sometimes, I might say something and it might hit a nerve. Yeah, it might hit a nerve. So instead of just dismissing completely what I have said, it might be a good idea to actually go and consult other people about this and say, well, would this apply in my situation or not? Yeah. Anyway, so Ramadan is coming up, and it's a month, inshallah, we hope to receive the forgiveness of Allah. So before we enter the month, we need to have a look at our hearts. And as we said earlier, we need to think about those people we have a problem with, and we need to get rid of these grudges from the heart. Now, what is the first step? The first step would be actually niyyah. Now, you would think it's obvious, but actually it's very critical. You need to have the irada. You need to have the intention and the correct intention. I want to do this for Allah. I want to clean my heart out for Allah. Yeah? Sincere intention. In what? We're talking particularly about wanting to get rid of these grudges from the heart. But you might say, why is the niyyah so critical? It's critical, number one, because in many cases, we don't even want to remove the grudges. We want to keep them. Yeah, it sounds ridiculous when I say it out loud, doesn't it? But isn't it true that sometimes people hang on to grudges thinking, if I take care of these grudges and nurture them and keep them in my heart, I'm actually protecting myself. I'm protecting my self interest. We have been tricked by shaitan into thinking that if you clean your heart out, the whole world is going to exploit you. Isn't it? The whole world will exploit you if you clean your heart. So you better never ever forget these people did this to you. Okay, what is the Islamic perspective? Somebody has been exploiting you. Do you let them keep exploiting you? And you say, no, my heart is clean. No, you don't. Islam is not a passive religion. You see zulm, you take steps. You take the necessary steps, right? But the heart you keep clean. Yeah. This is what we need to do with acting upon a clean heart. If this is not making sense, please, you must comment. Okay. You must let me know. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So then I'll try and explain it in a different way. Yeah. So we need to get out of this satanic trap that if I clean my heart, the whole world is going to exploit me. No, the world is not. And number one, you're relying on yourself. Allah is not the one who's going to protect you. And especially if your niyyah is, I'm going to clean my heart out so that Allah is pleased with me. Now Allah is going to allow people to exploit me. Right? And then you simply need to look at the legacy of the companions. and look at the level of how productive they were in their lives. Yeah, but they're being exploited? No, they weren't. Once they were in a position of power, they were not being exploited. Rather, they were spreading the deen. They were doing the work of dawah. Okay, so even when they were in the state of being oppressed, as in Mecca, what was happening? Were they keeping grudges? Were they keeping grudges? That's the question. Yeah. What were they doing? They were building the iman and they were relying upon Allah until Allah granted them relief. Yeah. So it was Allah who granted them relief. It is Allah who gave them power after they were in a situation of oppression. So if you read the seerah, you see all of them are what? They are actions of Allah. Allah granted them power after weakness. Allah granted them honor after they were being humiliated. Why? Why? Because they were keeping these grudges in their heart? No, no, opposite. They were building their iman. They were building their relationship with Allah, which is the key to success in dunya and akhirah, all your problems. So, subhanallah, because of their sincerity to Allah, because of their truthfulness to Allah, in the end, Allah gave them power after weakness. Allah gave them glory after oppression. Okay, so these are very simple formulas, and these are very simple facts. Yeah, these are truths, the Quranic and Quranic truths. Yeah, Quran and Sunnah, both. Okay. So most of the time, we don't even want to clean our hearts. We keep thinking grudges is a means of protecting our self-interest, even though protection of your life and your wealth and your honor and your religion, all these things that I've mentioned, they're all the goals of the Sharia. These are the sublime rules of the Sharia. Protection of your life, of your wealth, of your honor, and your religion. Yeah? Holding on to grudges is not going to help you attain any of these goals. Rather, following the instructions of the Sharia is going to help you achieve these goals. Okay? Protecting and nurturing your grudges is not going to help you. In fact, what happens is grudges and all other dispraised emotions, they will influence your behavior in negative ways. And that's why Shaitan encourages us. And they usually, because we keep these feelings in our heart, they eventually push us into making negative decisions. Yeah, usually, not always. Why not always? This point I want to add over here is because it can very well happen that, okay, now I realize I have serious problem with so many people, and it's gonna take me time, I think, to get over it. Yeah, to work on it, I need time. So now you still have these grudges inside yourself, right? And you're still possibly making negative decisions because of them. But the thing is, but because your intention has started changing, right? And you're starting to fight your feelings, what will happen is, even if you make negative decisions, you might change your mind. Why? Because you're doing this internal jihad. And you're fighting yourself. No, I won't do it. No, I won't do it. I won't do it. I feel like doing it. I won't do it. Yeah. So Allah will protect you and Allah will help you, but it is a journey. It is a journey we must take. Okay. So when you will have faith that my happiness actually lies in being true to Allah, which means following the Quran and Sunnah, yeah, then you will realize that actually each and every single command and the prohibition mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah is actually perfectly tailored to help us achieve the goals of the Sharia. Okay? In the beginning, you might not get it. Oh, I don't understand the wisdom uh, in the prohibition of backbiting. I don't get it. Yeah. Eventually, with time, Allah will grant you this knowledge as well. Knowledge of what? Knowledge of wisdoms behind the rulings of the Sharia. Yeah. And then, of course, when you realize them, and you will appreciate the rulings even more, and then you will try and strive to, you will try and strive. You will strive to implement them even more. Okay. Shall I move on to the next point? So we're talking about Nia. necessity. Okay, why else? Well, that was disclaimer. What did the Prophet ﷺ say? So first we said what the Sahaba did before every Ramadan. Hadith for you. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Do not harbor a grudge against, do not harbor any grudge against one another." The word "any" is not there. Do not harbor grudge and grudges. Hang on, let me look at the Arabic. Bughd is the word actually in Arabic. La tabaghadu. Okay. What else? So don't have any grudges against one another, nor hasad, jealousy, nor enmity, and do not show your backs to one another, and become as fellow brothers and slaves of Allah. Yeah, be brothers, ikhwana. That's the word over there. It is not lawful for a Muslim to avoid speaking with his brother beyond 3 days. So you can see how the Sunnah encourages the believer to clean the heart of all these things. Yeah, grudges, jealousy, enmity. Why? Because it's going to lead to negative behavior. It all starts in the heart. So you have to look after your heart. And if you will not look after your heart, then you will not be able to get along with other believers. And then the ummah will fragment into small, small pieces. Yeah. It is not lawful for a Muslim to avoid speaking with his brother beyond 3 days. Yeah. Inshallah, we apply common sense, right? To these ahadith, it's not lawful to avoid speaking. You see, the word is avoid speaking. Don't misunderstand this hadith into meaning, okay, I have to call everyone after every 3 days. It doesn't mean that. It's your niyyah. You might have an aunt, for example. You speak to her only once a year. It's not ideal because khala also has rights over you. It's not ideal, but you only call her once a year and she's okay with it. She doesn't mind. That's not a problem. That is not a problem because you know she doesn't mind. You know she loves you still. You know you love her. You know you'll call her whenever you get the chance, right? You'll visit her whenever you go back, right? So it's not a problem in that sense. Even though we should be, may Allah grant us the ability. Okay. What about people who don't speak to you? Who don't speak to you and you have messaged and called and they don't answer, then you give up. No, you don't give up. The thing is, first of all, it depends on the proximity of the relationship. Yeah. It depends on the proximity. Like I mentioned, aunt has rights over you. Yeah. But then there's your mother and your father. Mother comes first, right? Mother, father, right? So then you have to see the proximity of the relationship. Aunts, uncles, cousins are there. They have rights upon us. You're not allowed to cut off from cousins. Not allowed. Not allowed. If they don't want to speak to you, but you see, Allah saw that you tried for His sake. Yeah. But don't give up. You have absolutely no idea how much reward you're getting for your intention. So don't give up. And I don't think we'll be able to talk about how to deal with such situations. We'll see how we go. It's already 11:20. Hmm. What about extended cousins who are toxic? It's not about keeping a grudge. It's more about distancing yourself from certain people to protect your peace and mental health. What is your opinion about it? This is a big topic. Try and listen to this class first and see what you think after that. Yeah, because people still have rights over you. You cannot uh, cut off relationship with any of these people just because you think they are toxic. Yeah. But then again, as I said, it depends on your particular relationship, and you will have to go and ask a scholar for a fatwa because the Quran is very, very, very tough on breaking relationships. You go to Surah Muhammad, the warning is curse is on the one who cuts ties. Yeah. Curse of Allah. So it's very serious. So, which means, okay, there's a real possibility that I am going to lose my mind. Mental health, like you're saying, I'm just on the edge and I can't take it and something's going to happen to me. Then you really have to go to a sheikh and he is the one who will give you a fatwa and say, okay, this person is seriously dangerous. You cannot meet this person. It's fine for you to avoid this person. And yes, you can just send them a message or just call them every now and then. Okay, but I cannot give you an opinion on it because it's too serious a matter. You have to get a fatwa. So anyone who talks to me about boundaries and toxic family members and keeping distance from them, I will say to you, please, it is a very, very serious matter. You must make sure what you're doing is correct. I definitely do not have the ability to give you advice on this. Yeah, I don't know your situation, and plus I'm not a sheikh, right? So please go and consult, and and then just do what the sheikh says. Yeah, and Allah will bless your effort in seeking the correct answer. Because at the end of the day, you want to do what pleases Allah, isn't it? And who is going to give you shifa for your mental health, right? So you just don't know. You just don't know. What bring you down? All they do is backbiting and affecting your mental health. Yeah, yeah. But the thing is, again, don't attach your mental health to people. Attach your mental health to Allah and say, "Oh, Allah, help me." Uh, does that help? Yeah. So I am not saying what you're not going through is not real. I'm just saying you need to make sure what you're going to do is correct and pleasing to Allah. Bas. You cannot make a decision and possibly anger Allah, right? It's not worth it, right? And shaitan could be deceiving you. Or maybe you're right. I just don't know, right? So you have to consult people of wisdom, as I said in my disclaimer. Go back to my disclaimer. You please consult the elders, the people of wisdom in your family. You must go to a sheikh. Your imam of your masjid, alhamdulillah, if you in the UK, mashallah, tabarakallah, over here, the imams are really great. May Allah bless them all. You go and you say to them, but take someone with you, don't go alone. Okay. You go, I mean, I just mean from the point of view of the Sharia, the rulings of the Sharia. Yeah. You go in the appropriate manner, dressed appropriately, go, Sheikh, this problem. If they are open to a phone call fatwa, you do that. Bismillah. But you cannot take a risk with your akhirah. That's what I'm saying. You cannot take a risk of angering Allah. Because if you anger Allah with your decision by cutting someone off from your family, because you think they're having a bad effect on you, without taking a fatwa from a scholar, this is heading in a very dangerous direction. Yeah? Okay, more ahadith to encourage you and me. Yeah. Here I'm encouraging us. The Prophet ﷺ said, the gates of Jannah are opened on Mondays and Thursdays. Today is Thursday. And then every slave of Allah is granted forgiveness if he does not do what? Number one, shirk. But the person in whose heart there is rancor, okay, this is a different disease of the heart. It's not grudge, it's a rancor. Against his Muslim brother, they will not be pardoned. And with regard to them, it will be said twice, hold both of them until they are reconciled with each other. Hold both of them until they reconcile with each other. Very scary, very alarming. But why? The whole purpose behind these ahadith and ayat from the Quran, which we'll have a look at, is in order to bring people together. See? Allah wants us to reconcile. The ummah needs to be united. Otherwise, we are weak. The strength lies in unity. Yeah. And shaitan knows this. So this is what he does. He attacks relationships. Look what she said. And then now she's trying to be nice. He'll remind you, don't forget she said that. Isn't it? He reminds you. You're looking at somebody's coming, you're approaching, and all these negative ideas. Yeah. Because he doesn't want you to forget the not nice thing that they did to you. And what he does is he makes you forget all the things you did to that person that you nicely forget. Okay. So these are all the tricks of shaitan. But you need to learn on how to identify them and realize what he's trying to do. Trying to ruin my relationship with my husband, trying to ruin my relationship with my parents. This is what he wants. He wants to keep you miserable. Allah has told us in the Quran. He said, I am going to come to them from every direction. Yeah. From the right and the left, from front and front. Why? So that, and you will find that most of them are what? Ungrateful. What is ingratitude? Miserable, right? Okay, so now I need to get rid of these grudges. How am I gonna do it? I said, number one, Nia. What if you forgive a person and do not tell them? Is this cleaning one's heart? Yeah. Because you don't need to tell them, I think. Because maybe if you tell them, it might make things worse. They'll be like, who are you to forgive me? They could have a negative reaction, right? You have to see your situation, right? Again, it's very individual. You have to see. But, you don't even need to meet a person. Somebody could have taken some of your rights and you've never met them, right? But they, while you were away, they took away, yani ki maybe, for example, so many of us are from other countries and we are expats, right? And you find out, oh, this person, he took something which is rightfully yours. Yeah. And you say, forget it. I don't care. I forgive. You not only say, I let that thing go. Okay, it was mine. It was my right. Yeah. Not only do you say, okay, forget it, but you also say, oh, Allah, I forgive. It's okay. I forgive. Yeah. Then you don't have to go and tell that person, oh, I've forgiven you for what you did. But you're forgiven. Forgiving means what? I don't want him to see, I don't want this person to go to hellfire because of me. This is what forgiveness is. I don't want to hold them on the day of judgment saying, I do not forgive. Even though you have that right. Of course, you have that right. If somebody usurps any of your rights, you have every right to hold them on the day of judgment and say, मैं नहीं माफ करती. इसने मेरे बारे में ये कहा. Okay, if somebody backbites you, they will not be able to move on the day of judgment until you grab their good deeds, right? But so, subhanallah, this is the beauty of Islam, that Allah gives you this right. 100% you have this right. But then the hadith and Quran we are looking at today are all encouraging you, but you forgive. So I think, in answer to your question, yes, you can forgive a person without having even without telling them. Because I don't need to tell them. I'm simply not going to. My intention right now is I'm not going to hold them accountable. Yeah. In fact, I make dua for them. May Allah guide them. They shouldn't have done what they did to me. It's bad for their akhirah. It's bad for them, but I forgive. Yeah. And may Allah guide them because what they're doing is not good for them. Yeah. So you make dua for them and you move on. The point is, it'll liberate your mental space for positive things. Yeah. You're not sitting, hey, they took it away or ye ho gaya, wo gaya, but you didn't have it happened now. And there's nothing you can do about it. Okay, maybe I can go to court. Okay, fine. If you want to do that, that's Quran, Sunnah, Islam gives you the right to do that. So it's your choice and it depends on your situation. Yeah. Now, how do I do this? How do I let go? Big question. And this is why I said, but just remember what I said. You don't have to forgive. Okay? Nobody is forcing you to forgive. The Quran and Sunnah is not forcing you to forgive, encouraging you to forgive. Even murder, right? Murder, you have qisas. You have the right to retaliation. Not in all cases, by the way. When the judge, the qadi, he decides, okay, in this case, because there's a lot of fiqh rulings, but if he gives this decision and he says, okay, fine, the family of the murdered, this is our deen, okay? This is our deen. People say things which without realizing what they're saying. They give the right to the heirs, the family, and they say, if you want, you can forgive, but if you want to demand retaliation, that he should also be killed, it's up to you. Or if you want blood money, choice is given. And then in that same ayah, Allah encourages if he forgives, right? The implication of that ayah is if he forgives his brother, Allah calls the subhanallah, the murderer, the qatil brother, akhi, his brother. Yeah, if he forgives his brother. So encouragement there, even in that case, you forgive. But again, subhanallah, if somebody's done something horrible, right? You don't have to forgive. You don't have to. Okay. So it depends on the action. And especially if it's a criminal act, then a lot more issues are involved. Please go ask a scholar. Because we need to crack on. So what do I do? How do I do this? How? And this is why I said, please listen to the lecture we did yesterday. Which is what? Your claim in Surah Fatiha is what? وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. Only you we ask for help. Yeah? So only isti'ana billah, only relying upon Allah will help. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah will help. So you need to feel this in your heart. And we spoke about this at length yesterday. I think that class was about 50 minutes long. Yeah. You will not be able to remove these grudges at all. Okay. Impossible. Unless Allah helps you. And Allah can make it easy for you. Okay, which doesn't mean, okay, just because I said it, it's going to happen to you in like 5 seconds, right? Point is, you have to believe that Allah can clean your heart out in a second, if He wills. But perhaps He wishes for you to have this jihad inside of you, right? Because maybe that jihad is good for you. And He wants to see that struggle inside of you. You're fighting your feelings for Allah. And you're fighting your feelings while relying on Allah. Yeah, this is the test of life. I need to do what Allah wants me to do. And at the same time, I'm not allowed to rely on myself. Yeah, I have to rely on Allah. Oh, Allah, I can't do it, but I'm going to fight me. I am going to fight me for you. I want to clean my heart out for you. Yeah. So He wants to see all these things. And inshallah, bi'idhnillah, the closer you get to Allah, inshallah, you will appreciate the journey. Even if it's hard, you will, I'm not saying you'll enjoy the journey. That is level of shakireen. May Allah make us of them. Who are the shakireen? The shakireen are the people who are grateful in all circumstances. Even when they're going through really difficult circumstances, they appreciate the decree of Allah so much that they're in a state of shukr, right? But what we can appreciate is, while trying to do sabr, right, is at least appreciate that this is my journey to Allah. This is what I have to do. And yes, I need to go through this pain. Oh, but it's painful, but it's okay. I'll do sabr. And I'm not going to say anything which is displeasing to Allah. But inside, you know it's feeling uncomfortable, but you don't go and tell people. Unless it's a sheikh and you need a fatwa. Yeah. But you don't backbite in response to your test. Isn't forgiving an essential part of cleaning one's heart? It is. But you don't have to. You don't have to forgive everyone. It depends on who. Yeah. You don't, you see, here again, it comes on your niyyah. There are some people we should not forgive. Right? Who are these people? Are you going to go and tell the Palestinians that you need to forgive the oppressors? Of course not, right? So in some circumstances, a person is absolutely right, yeah, to hate someone because they've been oppressed, yeah, and that does not affect the relationship with Allah at all because they're oppressed. But again, like I said, we need to look at it from the perspective of general principles, yeah, and not talking about these extreme examples of people. We're not talking about these zalimin, right? We don't need to forgive the zalimin. Why should we forgive the zalimin? We are talking about my mother and my father and my sister who's such a problem. May Allah guide her, right? These are the people we're talking about. My husband, my husband's mother. Yeah. It's a huge topic, I admit. And I cannot cover all the different aspects. So this is what I said. I'm going to try my best to share with you the general principles. Yeah. And the specifics, you will have to go and find out the specific details. Okay. Otherwise, we won't get anywhere. Yeah. You can even have a zalim in your own family, like in the case of the mushrikeen of Mecca. But you see, the circumstances changed. There was a time when the hukum was just be patient. They're being horrible, you just have to be patient, right? And then the hukam came, no, no, now you need to fight. And that's what the Sahaba did. They're fighting their own family. But it came when the command came. Yeah, they did it when the command came. So there's a time for this and a time for that. Let's try and stay focused. Non-Muslim relations, if we get to Surah Taghabun, I'm not sure whether we'll be able to get there today. It's already 11:38. That it actually talks about non-Muslim relatives. You're supposed to forgive them. Okay. You're supposed to forgive them unless the ruling comes that in this case you're supposed to fight. But we are talking about grudges. Don't keep grudges. Okay. So I need reliance in order to do this. Are you all okay? Yeah, we could try and keep focused here. And what else? I need to think well of Allah. Yeah. So number one, what do I need to do? I need to rely upon Allah. I cannot do this myself. And part of my reliance upon Allah is what? I need to ask Allah to help me. Oh, Allah, help me. I can't do this. This is very difficult. I really can't stand these people. Yeah. So who will help you? Only Allah. Yeah. So you have to make the dua. You have to rely upon Allah. After that, you have to think well of Allah. You have to do actually all of these things. You need to think well of Allah. Yeah. Because this will help you think well of people. This is what our scholars say. When you will think well of Allah, you will think well of people. Both these things are connected. And even yani ke, people from secular backgrounds, they will agree with this concept from the perspective of if you think good things will come to you. And if you think just negative, just negative things will happen to you in your life. Even they recognize this principle. Why? Because it's the truth. The Prophet ﷺ said that Allah Almighty says, I am as my slave expects of me. If he thinks good of me, he will have it. And if he thinks evil of me, he will have it. Yeah. So if you're all the time thinking, these people are like this, these people are thinking, you're actually thinking bad of Allah. You know, I'm not. I'm thinking bad of these people. No, it's the decree of Allah, yes or no? Who chose your mother? Who chose your father? Yeah. Who chose the people, your family? Who chose your brother? Who chose your sister? And why? To test you. To test you. What are you going to do? That's the point. You need to remember that Allah, and you need to think well of Allah and saying, as in the choice of Allah is perfect. This is the perfect mother for me. So will you ever compare if you realize this is an action of Allah? My mother is perfect for me. My father is perfect for me. Yeah. Nobody is perfect, but you are saying they're perfect for me because this is Allah's choice. Anyway, thinking well of Allah is a big topic, and we did like many classes on it. We have a whole series of lectures on it, but it's really critical that we understand this, because the reason why usually, not always, usually we become very unhappy because we are actually thinking bad of Allah without realizing it. Not only bad, we think evil of Allah. So, which is actually a major sin, and we don't even realize it. So, may Allah help us all. Ameen. It's a beautiful book. If you don't have the time to listen to the lectures, there's a beautiful book. I will repost it in that group, Thinking Well of Allah. I will repost it over there, and you can at least read the book, inshallah. It's a beautiful book written by Dr. Iyad. Then I'm going to go to Islam Q&A because he says something very nice. So now just remember, you're going to do all these things while relying on Allah, not on yourself. Now we'll talk about some practical tips, right? With the help of Allah. So Islam Q&A, the Sheikh says, one of the greatest means that will help the Muslim free his heart of grudges and rancor is to be keen to show sincerity towards the Muslims in general. So you see, your whole attitude is a positive attitude towards everyone. Why? For Allah. I want to make Allah happy with me. So part of my sincerity towards Allah is what? Being sincere towards people. Meaning I will deal with people the way Allah wants me to deal with people, not the way I feel like dealing with them. Yeah. So can you see they're completely two different stories? They are completely two different stories just because of what? Your niyyah. And so your behavior will also change. And what else, subhanAllah, the purer your intention, the more consistent you will be. If your niyyah is for you, you will not be able to be consistently good with people. You won't be able to do it. Hi, आज mood नहीं है. आज तो mood ये है. Today up, today I'm down. Sometimes I'm super good, and sometimes I'm super bad, right? So when the more you will fix your relationship with Allah, the more stable you will become in your emotions. Yes. This is the claim of Islam. Peace. How? Through sincerity to Allah. Consistently, you will be in a state of peace. Consistently, that's the whole point. You won't have these crazy mood swings, which doesn't mean you won't ever be sad, but the point is Allah will grant you this resilience, yeah, which are gifts from Allah. And we have to earn it by showing Him this sincerity. So the Sheikh says, is one of the greatest means is show sincerity towards the Muslims in general. What do we do? Oh, I'm just going to focus on my ibadah. And I very conveniently forget part of my ibadah is serving people, giving people their rights. When it comes to people, what happens? My Islam suddenly flips into what are my rights? This one is not giving me my rights. That one is not giving me my rights. Completely forget what am I supposed to be doing in the situation, right? So another Quranic principle is if you focus on fulfilling the rights of people for the sake of Allah, Allah will fulfill your rights. Allah is the one who's withheld your rights. Is Allah in control or not? Yeah. So He is teaching you a lesson, which is what? Turn back to Him. Okay. For the sake of Allah, because He knows that Allah is pleased with that and He loves it. So you can again see it's about your niyyah. Another hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said there are three things that the Muslims should never fail to do. Doing righteous deeds sincerely for the sake of Allah. See, he's repeating the same concept. Sincerely for the sake of Allah. You see, if you'll do it for Allah, can you all hear me? If you're doing it for Allah, then you will not care so much about their reaction. Achha, we are human, we do get to have a reaction to people's response, but it'll minimize. Because even though you'll get upset, then oh, they didn't appreciate what I did, you'll suddenly remind yourself, oh, but remember your initial intention. My initial intention was I'm doing it for Allah. So what does it matter if they're not appreciating it? What does it matter if they're saying, oh, I hate what you've done, right? So that will comfort you. And so you will not give up. You'll say, it doesn't matter, I'm going to keep trying. See how your niyyah is a game changer? Sincere niyyah. Plus, you'll get divine support in different ways. Okay. When the Messenger of Allah was asked, I don't have slides for all these ahadiths here, I'll just read it out. Which of the people are best? He replied, everyone who is pure of heart and sincere of speech. This is what he said. Everyone who is pure of heart and sincere of speech. They said sincere of speech we know, but what is the pure of heart? And his response was, it is the heart that is pious and pure with no sin, injustice, rancor, or envy in it. So you can see from all these narrations how much emphasis there is on looking after your heart. Yeah. Why? Because whatever you keep in your heart is going to translate itself into actions. Sooner or later, it's going to come out. So you need to look after your heart. I have to ask you this question. Can you all hear me? It's because my headphones, I'm not so sure if they are glitching. So please, if you can just let me know you can hear me. Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Right, loud and clear. Literally. Okay. The point is that all these ahadiths, what are they doing? They're encouraging us to examine our hearts. Yeah, examine the state of our hearts, and they encourage us to work on cleaning our hearts of all grudges and rancor and all these diseases of the heart. Then Imam Ibn Kathir said, How good is the believer's condition as he has a sound heart and is sincere to the people around him. You see, if you're sincere to the people, like I said, it's completely, you'll get rid of this horrible disease called people pleasing, which makes us so miserable. So he says, how good is the believer's condition as he has a sound heart and is sincere to the people around him. And he calls them to Allah and he bears their annoyance. How? With patience, and he forgives them. And when he goes to bed, he has no resentment or rancor in his heart towards anyone. It is a sufficient reward for patience that the patient person will be given his reward without measure on the day of resurrection. Yeah. So, بغير hisab, these are the promises of Allah. The sabirun, they will get their reward without measure, meaning, yani, we have no idea. Again, meant to encourage us. Practical tips. Shall we share for a few minutes? Practical tips. Okay, these are from different lectures that I've listened to over the years. Okay, well, from our scholars and my teachers. Yeah, my teachers, different teachers that I've had, and inshallah, you can see if you find some of these practical tips beneficial or not. All right, it's not written in stone. Yeah, so as you can see on your screen, you should understand that differences are human nature. It's such a simple point, but it's so powerful. People are not all the same in terms of attitude, religious commitment, reasoning, and behavior. This is such a simple point, but what a powerful point, because we like people to be like our clones. Why is she like this? Why this one like this? And why is she not doing this? Even when it comes to dini commitment, as the Sheikh is mentioning, we become so judgmental, right? So we need to understand the differences are part of the nature of life in dunya. So just remember this, that people are not going to be exactly like you. Look at the age of a person. So these are all small tips for to help us do what? Think well of people. Somebody does something you don't like, make excuses for them. How am I going to do that? By remembering some of these tips. Look at the age of a person, right? If it's a very old person, make excuses. This is a very, oh, she's so difficult. Bhai, look at her age. Yeah. This is normal for old people to be really cranky and to be really difficult. But this is why you're getting so much reward. This is why you're getting so much reward. You should consider yourself lucky. I shouldn't use the word lucky, people get upset. But like luck is not in Islam. What I mean to say is you should consider yourself blessed. Allah has chosen you to look after this old parent. And the other children were not chosen. You were chosen for this special ibadah. Perhaps this is your means of getting into Jannah, right? So you will see everything in your life as a good thing. So this is called thinking good of Allah. And therefore, you will think well of people as well as a result of that. Okay? Look at the age of the person. Okay, look at the child. Child is being really naughty, but it's a toddler, right? Okay, toddler, you will say, so it's fine. What happens is when they become teens, right? And you're treating them like a toddler. You cannot react like a mother to a toddler. Now it's a teenager, it's a completely different ballgame. So look at the age of a person. But their behavior is perfectly normal for a 14-year-old. All of them go through this. So should I treat them like they're 3 years old? No, I shouldn't, right? You should also remember, okay, the teacher talks about the Sheikh. I can't even remember where I took this from. I think it was one of my teachers back in Dubai. She said that you should also remember that when you're dealing with your husband's mother, that maybe uh, feeling jealous of the son's wife as they, so basically they make a connection that your mother-in-law, she's behaving in this way. Try and remind yourself it's coming from a place of jealousy. Okay, she's probably jealous because this relationship is almost like a co-wife relationship. That is how daughter-in-laws also and mother-in-laws, they interact with each other. It's almost like co-wives. Why? It's coming from a place of jealousy. What are you doing? You're competing over one person, miskeen. Okay, you're competing over his attention, you're competing over his resources, right? So you need to remind yourself, yeah, that this is normal. She is going to feel this way. It's okay. Am I feeling jealous? What am I doing? Yeah, so these are just small points, yeah, meant to help you think good of people. It's not to make you say, oh, she's a very jealous, horrible woman. Okay, that's not the purpose of me sharing this slide. The purpose is that you try and justify their behavior in your mind. So that will make it easier for you to behave well with them. If you're thinking good of them, you're making positive interpretations. Making close relationship with mother-in-law is very important. May Allah guide us. May Allah guide us. It's a very tricky relationship. I'm not going to go there, right? But you could potentially transform that relationship with by thinking positive and relying on Allah. Reliance on Allah and thinking, okay, this was also chosen for me, right? She's the one who gave birth to my husband. True or false, right? So, and I could say a lot on this topic, but I think we'll move on. Unless you want to meet again for this topic. I don't know how you feel about that. Yes, please. Mm. We'll see. Let me cover a few more points. Let me see how well we do until 12. Yeah? So yes, please. You willing to come back same time tomorrow? Possibly. I'm not sure if I can. Yeah. Okay, let me go through a couple of more slides and then let's see how we do. So, some more practical tips. Are you all okay with me not getting upset? Then you should clear your heart and tell me what you think, and then I can try and answer your questions, inshallah, or your doubts, or any negative ideas which are coming in your mind right now. What we need are two important things, say our scholars. Number one, before that, you can't do this alone. I keep mentioning this on my slides. Before mentioning the tip, you need to remember you can't do this unless Allah helps you. Okay? And I'll keep repeating it so you don't forget. So what do I need? Patience and wisdom. Patience and wisdom. So here with patience, whatever you hear, not see, whatever you hear, and use wisdom in your response. Use wisdom in your response, meaning be wise in your dealings with them. Be wise. You know, Imam Ibn Taymiyyah actually wrote a book on what was the name? How to deal with hardships or difficult people, something like that. I can't remember. I've saved that book and I was thinking at some point we should do this book. And you will be very surprised in what he says, how to deal with difficult people or something like that. I can't remember the name. Anyway, be wise in your dealings with them, especially in laws. Yeah. By means of your wisdom, you will be able to avoid many problems and you will earn their approval or at least put a stop to the ill will towards you. And you will also win your husband's heart and please him. Wisdom, okay. Some more suggestions. Speak nicely to them, praise them, pray for them, respond to requests, gifts. Yeah. So these are what are we talking about? The people you have a problem with. How do I neutralize the negative feelings? You need to force yourself to do all these things. Okay, you know, when I mentioned this in a halaqah I did recently, one sister turned around and said something very nice, very clever actually, not, yeah, very clever. She said, how is this not faking? How is this not a kind of hypocrisy that I don't feel like being nice, but I'm forcing myself to be nice? I don't feel like praising them, but I'm forcing myself to praise them. I don't want to spend a pound on them and I'm supposed to buy them a nice gift. I don't feel like doing any of this. So the answer is very simple. that no, this is not faking. This is you forcing yourself to do what is pleasing to Allah. Yeah, you're trying to fix a relationship. You're trying to clean your heart. Yeah, you're trying to do all of these things for, you see, it's your niyyah. You're doing it for Allah. So it's a struggle. It's a struggle until Allah grants you the real feeling of feeling, yani ki the grudge leaving. Yeah, and then you'll be happy. You'll be happy you'll be happy being nice to them. It will no longer be a struggle for you. Why? Because you overcame these feelings. You managed to get rid of the grudges. And now you're in a state of peace. So now, alhamdulillah, you're now trying to be generous. Why? Because it makes Allah happy. But it's easy to be generous with people you like. Where is the struggle in that? Yeah. The test is in where it's hard. I don't feel like smiling. Smiling is charity. Yeah. This is where the reward is, where you're having to fight your nafs. So every act of worship, it requires effort, right? You getting up in the morning to pray Fajr, hard, difficult or not? Yeah. So it's difficult. Every act of worship requires struggle. So this is a type of struggle that you're doing for the sake of Allah. Allah wants you to smile, so you smile, not to mahram people in your life. Yeah. So inshallah, I hope this helps. But our scholars say that gifts also play a major role in softening hearts and changing the way people will deal with you. Yeah. But again, just remember, if you're going to give things to people because you want them to be good to you, yeah, then that's not going to work. It's your niyyah. Oh Allah, I'm doing this to make you happy. That has to be your primary, most important intention. And then you will not care whether they soften, or they might even throw your present in the bin, right? Or you might see your present on somebody else, right? Test, 100% test. Do you know how it's a test? Your gift on your sister-in-law, yeah, when you see it on top of your sister-in-law's head, is Allah testing you. Did you give it to your mother-in-law for Allah, or did you give it to your mother-in-law to make your nafs happy? Now is Allah testing you through you seeing the gift on somebody else. So you will say, Alhamdulillah, oh Allah, I did it for you. Or you will see your reality, oh Allah, my niyyah was not so good, right? So even that is good. Now you understood the lesson. Now you'll do something about it. Yeah. So everything, my dear listeners, is khair. Because Alhamdulillah, you're a believer. So everything good that happens in your life is good for you. Everything negative happening in your life, it is also good for you. Yeah. Because it is all from the nurturing of Allah, and Allah is inviting you to Darussalam. He's inviting all of us to Jannah, but there's a path that we must tread. Yeah, and we must tread it according to the Quran and the Sunnah. So we're going to stop here now, inshallah. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. I shall stop the recording.